Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Katie, and I'm joined by Bonnie, Leah, and Michelle talking about our one cool pirate gal. So Bonnie already talked about Grace O'Malley, and Michelle already talked about Saida
Yes.
Al-Hura.
You got it.
Yeah.
Nailed
I just
it.
need the fake confidence, but I can't even fake my fake confidence. It's not there. And we say this every time. But anyway.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yes. But before we get back in, we dive off the plank back in.
there.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
This
Yes.
finally makes sense now.
Let's get to know something random about our gal pals. So, a booty is a pirate term for treasure or loot, right? So I want you ladies to show me your booty.
Yes.
Woo!
No.
There's some pets. Oh, some
Oh,
babies.
we've got dogs and cats living together on a Zoom call.
All right.
Oh, but then we've
Showing my
Oh,
booty.
oh my gosh. I feel like you guys are already like, you've got your treasures.
I know,
Got
right?
your treasures.
One more if we could have one more treasure.
Right. So let's say you found a treasure chest.
Yes.
And it was something inside that you really, really wanted. What would be inside that treasure chest?
Dun, 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 dun. I have a
Yes.
guess because I don't know my own answer. I have a guess for Bonnie's answer.
Puppies.
All the dogs in the world.
Puppies!
Puppies.
Just like a TARDIS or a Mary Poppins bag of
Yeah.
just puppies coming out.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Even if it was like a one a day puppy, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not greedy, but you know, every day a new puppy.
That would be cool.
That would be amazing.
Mhm.
Probably not your
Whatever.
actual answer. What would your actual answer, Bonnie, be?
Puppies.
Oh, you.
Duh.
Well, then that was easy.
Oh, there's a lot of gardening stuff I want right now
Oh.
that I don't need. Like there's this thing called a hori hori or something.
What did you
It's
just
like
call
a
me?
weird. It's I think Japanese, but it's like a knife, shovel, something. Like I don't need it, but
But you want it.
it's like a gardening knife. Like it's
Yeah.
so you can like kind of dig into the soil, and if there's like roots or something, you can just like saw them in
and, like
half.
hack at it at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
Yeah.
if it's kind of like the pizza cutter that Katie got me. That's a fork on one end and the pizza rolly cutter on the other end.
Oh.
It's
'Cause I-
because she's a weirdo that eats pizza with a fork and knife. So
I'm
it's a
freaking
combo
weird.
tool,
It
like a
is.
fork, knife, pizza cutter. Yeah.
I feel
Because
like I would
needed it.
get damaged. by both.
It is a little sharp on both ends. I will say that, but it has come in handy because I
It's
am
a little bit
a
of
weirdo.
punishment for
for being a weirdo. Just
doing
eat it with
that.
your goddamn hands, Leah.
pretty
I like
much. I do too much with my hands though, so we won't even. They're the best tool.
Exactly. They've been with us. Jazz hands. Woo. Oh, I dig it. Michelle, do you know yours? Because I'm still
Can I say world peace?
world peace. Yes, Miss America, you can.
Right?
Barring that, just probably more books, more and more books and more books.
It's a good one.
Always more books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Always.
god. If it would have been like last week, I would have said like IKEA bookshelves because it's been driving
Oh
me
yeah,
nuts.
the shelves. Shelves would be good
Fucking
too.
shelves, like fuck yeah, because like I need the shelves for the books. We had books on the floor at the library because we ran out of shelves. What I found out was that as soon as kind of COVID hit, the mills shut down. like around the world. So
Oh.
like there was no trees being processed to be
Yeah.
turned into said bookcases.
Yeah.
So it was like, step backs of problems and then post office problems that give Bonnie the shakes at night. So, so there was a series of problems leading to my bookshelf catastrophe. But I mean, that's what I would have said because it's been driving me nuts since we opened. Like we opened in March and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll have enough bookcases. And then like that day we opened, I went, we need more bookcases.
Yeah.
And then there's the bookcase I accidentally tore apart.
And then there's that one. Well,
Tried to assemble.
Katie's so strong, you guys. Katie's so
I'm
strong.
so strong.
Can you put this together? Sure. Also, shitty bookshelf. I should have known that. But yes, so I'm going to say right now, which is weird because normally I would always say something for the library. If this could fit into a treasure chest, which it can't, I want to get my house painted. My house needs to be painted, and it's 2-story, like old Victorian, huge. I can't paint it. So it's actually like the first time where it's like, it's beyond me. Like I can paint the inside walls, ladders, but like the outside I've wanted to paint since we moved in like 15 years ago. And it's, I can't do it. So I have to have somebody paint it. And
What color?
Navy.
Mm.
Because it's such a big house, you know what I mean? I almost feel like it needs a darker color with white trim to kind of give it that pop. But I really don't want it to make it look like Americana. So it's, like a bluish gray.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want it to look like an old colonial that's red, white, and blue. I'm not that gal. We played with different colors, but it's weird because of the shape of the house and because of how big it is. It does have the gingerbread. So that was the other thing where it's like getting cute little accents to do the gingerbread on it. So we are looking at painters, but my God, if in that treasure chest was just somebody who could paint houses, that would be my dream. That's what I really, really want.
That is a great answer. I was just thinking about how much I need to paint my house. I've lived here 12 years, and I think you moved in like
a year,
a few months, a year after I moved in, because we're basically neighbors. We're like 4 blocks away from each other. But
and your house is just a lighter shade of my house.
Pretty much,
They're in that brown tannish family. It was
mine's supposed to be yellow. It's just filthy. I think.
It okay?
But
mine's the color they didn't care about. It's like, oh, let's just do this olive gross poop color and just put it on a house. Like it's what we have left. I mean, but yes.
Just mixed together like the leftover.
I think they mixed together Katie's colors and some other neighbor. And came up with the color of my house. But yes.
Like I need lots and lots of paint, but since you already said paint, I feel like I need to do something different.
Dun, dun.
What would I have in a treasure chest?
I know, exactly.
Man.
Picture that
That'd be a tough
beautiful
one.
treasure chest. It opens up.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with another house thing.
Yes.
So I am jealous because your windows open.
Mine?
Some of them open. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them.
All of mine in my 120-year-old house, no, 130-year-old house, all of them are painted shut.
Oh, they're painted.
So I want to feel, the cool breeze through my hair on the ship. I just want
windows
a breeze,
that open,
man. Yeah, I want windows with screens that open. Oh, that would be amazing.
Nice.
It's the little things, right?
None of my windows have screens, so they basically just immediately let bugs in. So we have these little like retractable things that we have to like smash in the window. The dogs and cats have they figured them out. So we haven't had.
So you need some screens, and I just need windows and screens. So.
Yeah, there's that. I think so. Windows and screens. Yes. Yeah. I also just need to not open my windows.
I'm just picturing Trinity just launching through the window now.
We did a film set, and we had to film. We were filming in the house. We had to film through the window because we needed extra room. So we actually put the camera outside the window, opened the window completely up. But I was on the other side. I was outside, and Trinity was inside. This was
Oh,
not happening
no.
with my social
Mhm.
anxiety dog.
Mhm.
My dog needed to be with me. So while a camera was rolling, she went straight out the window so she could be with me.
Of course.
Yeah, that was fun. But we got her. So she has gone through a window before. It was first floor. But Katie, who is your one cool pirate, eh? That sounded Canadian. I meant for it to sound like a pirate. It just sounded like a fucking Canadian. I'm
You
sorry.
know what?
Be the
I was trying to
nicest pirates.
process. I was trying to process speech too because I wanted to be like whom's because I have kind of like two ladies. They are whom's,
I like
not
it.
who's. Whom's.
Yeah, that's a word, right?
Yes. So my original objective was to talk about Anne Bonny.
Right.
Bonnie's
Bonnie's namesake. Wait, no.
Right? Right? So, in her honor, you have to have a tit out all the time.
That's
though,
right,
Bonnie.
exactly.
I don't know why my fingers are like grabby jazz fingers over the tit, but yeah.
Gotta have a
Um,
move out and gotta pretend something happens later.
Right.
Well, you know what? I have issue with a few things here
Yes.
because I'm going to fast forward. They say that both Anne Bonny and her BFF, Mary Read, nobody on the ship knew that they were women, that they dressed as men. And I'm just thinking, if you have a tit out all the time,
Right.
that's not subtle, right? That's not
Right.
incognito.
I think that's only for paintings, though. Like they see
Oh,
the
okay.
painter,
Yeah.
you know, like not the photographer, but they see like the painter, and they just go,
Mhm.
"Wait a minute."
So I actually just think it might be a lot of bullshit because
No.
Anne Bonny is one of the most famous pirate women. Oh my gosh, sorry. The dog was trying to steal wine corks.
Nice.
Right.
So
The illustrations is in like children's books.
Yeah,
With their
that's-
tit out is
okay.
what's funny.
so Leah was telling me about the illustration of Anne Bonny with one boobie out in the children's book.
Yes.
And then she showed me that Gal's Guide has this.
Yes,
book.
we do.
Yes. And when I was flipping through it, I found the chapter on Anne Bonny, and I was like, it's meant to be. This is who I need to talk about. So, yes. But I also looked online, and it seems that most of the information about her comes from some dude's book that he wrote in the 1700s. And I'm just guessing perhaps she never had a boobie out.
Probably.
Maybe. I mean, I'm torn because it seems like a very man thing to be like, I'm going to write about pirate women and I'm going to illustrate them with a boob out
Right.
Mhm.
because that's going to sell books.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, I'm very here for the free the titties movement.
Right.
And if you're going to be a badass pirate bitch, you can do whatever you want with your
It gets
boobs.
hot on that ship.
It does.
Right?
See?
Right?
Plus, if she was an
So-
archer, like Bonnie had talked about with the, was it the Amazon gals?
Mhm.
Some of them would even cut off a boob so that they could archery better.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you get
reasonable.
Maybe that was for her
Reasonable.
pirating.
Yeah.
It would help you pirate better to have
Well, I mean, if you're having
mean,
a
it
sword
would be
fight with some
distracting.
dudes, yes,
be
yes,
Oh, yeah,
right?
this is true. It's like men wearing a kilt, right? It's so that you can have the element of surprise.
I mean, might be surprising.
Surprise, I'm a pirate woman, and here's my breast to prove it. I also just want to know, was there a lot of men cross-dressing and you had to have the actual breast to prove? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Proof
Okay,
of concept.
but that is a good segue into one of the things. Oh my gosh. I have to
Right.
beat back dogs. Okay. Leah offered me a quiet space to work in, but I'm a homebody.
It's
Um,
totally fine. I understand.
So that was one of the things that I thought was really odd as I learned more about Anne Bonny and her bestie Mary Read,
Mhm.
is both of them, when they were young children, were dressed up as boys by their parents.
Oh, by their parents.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
So, I mean, like early on, they were very familiar with the whole cross-dressing thing.
Sweet.
So,
What is your dog getting into at the moment?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He's opening doors.
Go ahead, exactly. The dog is trying to open the window and then go out the window. I'm just kidding.
He had my vegan cheese cookbook.
Oh, trying to send you a message.
That's cheese.
Because we're talking like the 1700s, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
they think that Anne Bonny was born in the late 1600s, like 1697-ish.
Okay.
And Mary Reed's a little bit older, like maybe 10 years older.
Okay.
But it's super interesting. Both of them were born out of wedlock.
Oh,
Dun, dun, dun.
bastard.
Right?
Yes.
Scandalous. Yes. So
Michelle has
Anne-
the vapors, y'all.
yeah, right.
Wedlock. Oh.
So Anne Bonny's father had an affair with his servant.
Okay.
He was a prominent lawyer, and well, no, I don't even know if he was prominent. That just sounded right. I
There
think
you
it's
go.
been in a
He
few
was
movies.
a lawyer.
He was a lawyer. He was a lawyer, but perhaps not successful because he seemed to be very dependent on his wife's family money.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't sleep with the servant.
Right. So Josh is coming to the rescue because I don't even know what he has now, but it sounds like a bag of coins.
The dog found the doubloons.
Your booty.
He found my booty. So his wife was not so keen on him having babies with the servants.
No.
What? Yeah, so he decided to hide Anne by dressing her as a boy and saying that he was training her to be his law clerk.
Oh my God.
What?
So he took care of her by keeping her nearby and pretending it was a male child not related to him that he was training to.
I think Bonnie has some
Yes,
follow-up
yeah,
questions.
Yeah.
It's still a baby. Like whether it's a boy or a girl, it's still there's still a baby.
But the baby had a little gavel and was
But,
trying
like,
to learn.
How long did he wait between it's like a baby to like it's my law clerk? Like I'm picturing my toddler in pants is my law clerk.
Right, it's my law
Like,
clerk.
where-
You know,
Oh my God.
so
Yeah.
What was that day like?
so it must have been, I mean, I don't know what this baby was doing Anne was doing for the first almost decade of
10
her
years
life.
of their life.
Right.
Exactly. Like at
Because-
what age are you suddenly a law clerk? 7?
It was around 10 years old
okay. All right.
that his wife found out about his bastard child that he was dressing as a boy and training to be a law clerk.
That had to be a hell of a day. Hell of a
Yeah. And so the wife like cut him off from all money.
Okay.
So they decided I'm helping with an intervention. There was Josh. Okay. Like literally they were chasing each other on other sides of the table while I was trying to talk to you guys.
Amazing.
There are some downsides to Zoom. Sorry guys.
It's fine. It's all
So
entertaining.
the wife found out of Anne's dad and cut him off, and so he took the servant, Anne's mom, and Anne and moved to the United States. Well, the colonies,
The colonies.
and they moved to what did they call it? The Carolina Providence.
Oh, that's
You
right.
know.
Yes. Back in the day.
Yeah, so he got kicked to the curb, and he took off for the New World.
Where the
when
rules
Anne was
don't
10.
matter.
Right. Okay, now here's the deal with Mary Reed. This
Yeah.
is pretty interesting too. So Mary's mom was married to a dude and had a baby with him, a son. They had a son together. And then the guy was lost or killed or something. I can't even remember.
Okay.
And I know, Bonnie, I love it. Those true faces.
Shaking.
Something happened to the dude.
No, you're
And-
shaking like your like monitor.
Oh,
It's like an earthquake at Katie's house.
That's because the dog was under the table and he was being removed again. That's our
It
house
was
right
the,
now.
the dog earthquake.
It's the
I
dog.
was just waiting for it to like put the ball down on the laptop. Like
Right, exactly.
you're
And you're
calm
done now. I'm the captain now.
I keep trying to tell Josh that he's gonna calm down and be fine. He's still young.
One day, puppy will be okay.
Right. So more death and destruction.
Yes.
Well, maybe not destruction, but so the husband goes missing or dies, and Mary's mom, son dies, the one with this husband.
Okay.
And then she gets pregnant out of wedlock and can't really support herself. So she goes and tells her former husband's family that this is the original son. She does like a little son swap.
Oh.
So she dresses Mary as a son so they can get support and money from her first husband's family.
How
In present-day terms,
big
that
of
would have
a
been-
gap
Right. You
is
would
there
think.
between the kids? Like, I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
There's just like a year.
People can't really do math back then.
Plus, they didn't see each other that often. Would be my guess too.
Sure.
They were like,
Plus the fact
I
of,
don't know,
yeah.
maybe not. I can't
Right.
remember
Still,
what I
though.
had read about that, but I thought it was very interesting. Both of them are born out of wedlock, and due to circumstances, to trying to keep them hidden,
Right.
were dressed as
to
boys.
take the life as boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we
Interesting.
fast forward like 20, 30 years, and they're both dressing like men on pirate ships.
Uh-huh.
Right.
See, wearing
No wonder they
pants
became
causes
friends.
trouble.
Right?
Calm it down, Amelia Bloomer. I don't believe that. Okay, maybe a little bit of trouble, but a good trouble.
Well, and I feel like from Anne Bonny's like things that have been learned about her that she was trouble to begin with.
Right.
A redhead. Oh, had a temper. When she was 13, apparently might have tried to stab a girl.
Oh.
Bitches get
Stab a
stitches.
girl or stab a bitch?
You know, I'm not sure. It was just like a little blurb, like when she was 13, she might have stabbed someone. Maybe.
Nothing
So
more
I-
Throwaway lines that they have in their biography. Nice.
Right. So I will say that it was noted that she's one of the few pirates kind of from that golden era that were female that were confirmed. Like she's like for real. We have documentation. And like I said, maybe one of the more famous ones. And it's crazy because she was really only actively pirating for a year
Ah.
of her life. But she gets to Americas. And Americas. And her dad apparently found no real work as a lawyer because apparently he sucked as a lawyer.
I was gonna say we're full of lawyers, but sure.
No,
Right,
it's
to really be a-
American law.
I know,
It's a completely different.
But
Right.
crazy enough, he knew business really well and he actually became quite wealthy and successcul
Oh.
in America. Unfortunately, her mom died like 2 years after they arrived.
Ah.
But she grew up with some amount of wealth and privilege and education, at least, you know, in that young teenage years. And she probably was part of like the social set of the Americas.
Mhm.
And her dad definitely thought that she should make a good match and do all that like stuff that good women do, good girls.
Sure.
She
Dresses
didn't think
men
that
and all.
was she didn't think that was going to work for her.
Nice.
She actually found a very poor sailor / pirate named James Bonny, fell in love with him, and decided to get married.
Nice.
And then, shocker, her dad decided to kick her out for her rebellion and her poor taste in men. And then
Wow.
sadly, it came to light that her husband really married her for her family wealth.
Oh.
Ah,
Well, when
So
that was
nobody was really getting what, right? The pirates?
joke's on him.
Right.
Mhm.
So, the other little blurb kind of about her personality pre-pirate is that there's no proof, but it's rumored that she burnt down her dad's plantation before she left with her now husband.
Kind of like Waiting to Exhale style, where basically just it's, like she's burning and she's walking away angry, not looking back.
I think that's what happened. Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah. So she took off with the new husband down to Nassau. They went down to the Caribbean. And then things didn't go great for them.
Oh.
Like he thought he was going to marry a wealthy merchant's daughter, and she thought she married a man with a spine, but it turns out he was being a snitch for the governor. So
The
her new
governor.
husband, her new husband was turning in pirates to the new governor that came to try to put a stop to piracy, and she thought that was super weak.
Meanie.
What's the expression? Weak juice? I don't know.
Something
weak
like weak sauce?
Weak sauce.
There
Yeah,
you go, yeah.
She was like not into that. So she started going to like known pirate hangouts to like party. And
I've seen this movie in the Caribbean. Yes.
And it was there that she met Calico Jack, whose real name is John Rackham.
Okay, so whose
John
real name
Rackham.
is Johnny Depp. Got it. In my head anyway. Yes.
Calico Jack. He was fancy, wore lots of calicos, yes.
Yes.
So it was there that she met him, and they both fell in love with each other. And so Calico Jack went to her husband and offered to like pay him off to divorce her and set her free, which his main objective was money. So you think he'd dig that, but
Yeah.
he's, a dude. So pride, right?
So he's got to ruin it. Right.
Yeah. And so he rejected the offer, and then he tried to get the governor to use this archaic law that hadn't been used forever to sentence Anne to be like flogged, basically, for adultery.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
What an ass.
So instead of hanging around for that, she just took off with Calico Jack on his ship,
Like you do.
like you do, on the back of the motorcycle. You're just
Mhm.
heading out into the sunset.
Meanwhile, she burned his place down.
Right. Yes.
And did
And
look-
she might have stabbed a girl.
Exactly.
Yep.
So she joined Calico Jack in his pirating. And it was reported that like in battles, she was right there fighting alongside him. And that she was just as fierce as any of the men and is into her pirating job. And then she met another pirate on board named Mark, I think.
Mark,
I didn't write
just
down.
call me Mark.
Mark the pirate.
I didn't write down the name
It's
because
fine.
Mark was actually Mary Read.
Oh, I
Of
see.
course.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
So Mary Read
So-
going by a dude's name.
By a dude's name. So Mary Read going by a dude's name on Calico Jack's ship. So
Got
all
it.
of our main characters are on the same ship now. Ooh, ooh, ooh,
Let
yes.
the juiciness begin.
Right. So actually, like, Calico Jack was kind of pissed at first because he's like, why are you digging on this Mark dude?
Mhm.
And then so Mary Read had to reveal herself to Calico Jack as a chick because dudes are fine with lesbians.
Of course they are.
Right, that's cool. We can dig on that.
Yay.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that definitely was a rumor that they were like best friends and also lovers, and that's never been substantiated. It's possible.
Yeah.
But then Mary Read was also reported to have a husband on the ship, and kind of like her own thing going on. So who knows?
Right.
But they were like pirates, but they were also privateers, the legitimate piracy of the time in the golden pirate age.
Too legit. Too legit.
Right.
Sorry.
So they were kind of getting away with things, and things were going great for them. And then for some reason, they decided that they should steal an English ship from the harbor.
Like you do.
Oh.
Yeah, like a military ship right out from
Them
under the
bitches get
governor's nose.
Mad.
So
Again,
yeah,
I've seen that
turns
movie.
out when you do that,
Girl.
they don't think it's privateering anymore, and you just become full-blown pirate.
Yeah.
Pirates. Arr.
So really, that's the turning point of our story, where basically there's a giant bounty on their head. There were wanted posters for both Mary Read and Anne Bonny. They knew they were part of the crew, and they were definitely wanted women.
Nice.
Yes. So they were. That's why their pirating was kind of cut so short. Is this decision to abscond with something belonging to the crown? And it was in 1720 that they were captured, in the fall of 1720, by somebody specifically sent to track them down and find them.
A pirate bounty hunter.
Right, absolutely. That's exactly what it was. And so they came late at booty hunter.
Booty
Yeah.
hunter.
So they came late at night to capture the ship, and all of the men were below deck, drunk, and apparently the only people on lookout were Mary and Annie. Annie was a nickname. You know,
Getting
we're
shit
on
done.
that kind of level. Yeah. It was even said that one of them fired down below deck to try to get the men to come help. Just like straight shooting at the men, like, get your asses up here.
Right. But they just couldn't. They were too drunk, and the rum was all.
Yeah, so they were all captured and thrown into jail, and they went to trial. Calico Jack was the first one sentenced to be hanged.
Right.
Hanged, I guess, is the proper way.
Sure. Either way, it sucks.
Yeah, either way, it's not going to be good. So he was the first one sentenced. Oh, dude, there's so much in her life, even though it's a couple years. She also got pregnant during her first year of pirating. And when it was time for her to give birth, they just sat down in Cuba, and she gave birth, and nobody knows what happened to the baby, whether it was adopted or died. And then, like, shortly thereafter, she was back to her pirating.
Oh, all right. Like you do. Like
Yeah.
a weekender or something? All right.
Yeah. So, like, they apparently had this really passionate, loving relationship, her and Calico Jack. So right before he was to be hanged, he asked if he could go say his goodbyes to her.
Ah,
And this is the only direct quote of hers I wrote down.
yes.
Apparently, this is what she said to him when he came to see her.
Yeah.
She said, "Had you fought like a man, you need not have been hanged like a dog."
Oh, wow.
Oh, snap.
Okay.
Right?
Girl didn't play.
Dang. With friends like these, who needs enemies?
Right.
Accurate.
They were serious.
Wow.
Oh my
So
God.
both Anne and Mary were also sentenced to be hanged, but they pleaded the belly
Right?
pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had heard that it was like a false claim, but then there are sources that say that it was actually true,
Oh.
that they both were indeed pregnant. So I'm not really sure what the consensus is. All I do know is that Mary Read did die in prison. She got sick and died, some think because of her complications of childbirth or an illness while she was pregnant, but she passed away in prison before she could be hanged. And then the thing with Anne Bonny is it's a total mystery. After 1721, she just disappears.
Was
and
she freed and
nobody
then
knows.
disappeared, or just?
No, she just disappeared. So there's no proof that she was ever hanged, so nobody really thinks that she was executed.
Right.
But there's no record of her whatsoever.
Like escape or freed or pardon. Interesting.
Yeah, she just disappears.
Hmm.
And then I thought it was really, really, really weird is when you look at her Wikipedia page, it has her possible date of death as 1782, which would have
Okay.
had her like in her 75th, 80th year of life.
Right.
So I don't know where that number came from or why they might think that, but I do get the vibe that the consensus is she may have lived a very long life, but it's a total mystery where she ended up or what happened to her.
Interesting.
Yes.
Dun dun dun.
So these were the fierce fighting pirate ladies, fierce friends, cross-dressers.
Yes.
They had it all.
Found each
Sex,
other.
violence,
Rock
booty.
roll.
Booty.
Yes,
And maybe
I
even a
love that
cheeky
they
one
were
out. Maybe.
maybe.
At least if it
Maybe.
was illustrated by a dude.
Mhm.
I will find that children's book. It's called Life of Pirates, and where it only has one female pirate in it, Anne Bonny, and the
Mhm.
illustration in a children's book for middle school readers is her with a boob out. I will put it in the show notes because I know I still have a photo of it somewhere.
I want to do a poll on Facebook for our followers. Like, how many
Yes.
of them think that it was men depicting these pirate ladies with their boobies out, and how many
Yeah.
think that it was just boobies or like pirate women being like, you know,
Right.
I'm gonna be comfy.
100% It's a dude. I mean, if it wasn't for like a children's book, you could easily write it off as that's a quick way to illustrate that it's a woman.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like, it's in a children's
It's in a
book.
children's book.
Yeah.
Like, so was it that they commissioned this to be made because they're dumb,
Right.
or just someone picking the illustrations made a dumb decision?
Or is
Like-
it that people are illiterate, but they can see a picture, and we just need to make sure it's clear in the picture? Female.
Or was it just that they're like, it's art?
Uh-huh.
Like,
Because you do have the whole, I mean, I want to say Renaissance, but it was like way before that too, where it's all of a sudden everybody's naked or has a boob out.
The whole thing, like I love that Hannah Gatsby's second special. She's like, women just don't know how to wear clothes. They're just like they're naked.
As soon
all
as
the
a
time.
painter comes around, bite. Clothes are difficult.
No, but yeah, I assume that it's because it's a dude telling the story. That's also why I think maybe the they may have been lesbian lovers may come
Right.
just because it's a dude telling the story.
Because it's the male gaze, if you will. The story being told
'Cause-
through a dude is, how is this more interesting?
Because if
Right.
there's a woman wanting to be a pirate, which is a man's profession,
Sure.
and maybe cross-dressing, like there must be something like wrong with her that she's also she's a lesbian. Like
Right.
no.
Ah. Or she's a badass pirate that burns shit to the ground. Either or. I dig it. Do you ladies have any questions for Katie?
How did they meet?
Mary and Annie, they met on Calico Jack's ship.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so Mary was already there as a crew member, incognito.
Oh, that's
Um,
right. She was disguised as a boy already.
Yeah,
That's right. Mark,
Yes.
you said.
Mark. So that's the crazy thing too, is in the trial, a lot of the sailors were saying, oh, they knew they were women. And then a lot of people were saying there was no way they knew they were women, because back in the day, it was considered extremely bad luck to let a
Mhm.
woman on your ship. It was like
Mhm.
very much against pirate code. So it may remain a mystery, just
This
like
is
her
true.
whereabouts after her
Mhm.
time in prison.
I love that there were BFF pirate ladies. I love that
Yeah.
there were two friends. They had common, life experiences, even though that was kind of, unusual life experiences. And-
I
Right?
feel like if this story was like written today, like if you took this concept of these two friends and they were both like forced into a different gender from birth, they would meet in like therapy, right? Like they're both going to the same therapist. And it's like, what are you here for? My parents made me dress as a boy. That's why I'm here. And then like, the two of them would like have this like fantastic relationship and therapy session. There'd be coffee. And like that would be the today modern story
Yes.
of Mary and Alice. And I would watch it.
I would totally love to see it as a drunk history episode.
Right? Oh,
Did you hear
yeah.
they canceled Drunk History?
I heard, but I didn't click on it because I don't want to believe it.
I know. They were going to film season 7 and then COVID happened. And then they decided to just have it canceled forever. And I'm so I'm hoping we can petition. Let's just petition because we need
Right?
more Drunk History because they're awesome. And it's what we do, only they do it better because there's reenactors and celebrities.
Ahoy. That wraps it up for this week. Join us next week as our next gal pal shares her one cool pirate gal as Gal's Guide to the Guide to the Galaxy podcast continues. Thanks for listening.
I love it.
The podcast galaxy.
The podcast,
Galaxy.
All those things.
Yeah.
Any
For
of
show
it.
notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.